Hey guys, we are taking a Dollar Tree mason jar and we took the twine off, and instead of soaking and scraping all the glitter off, I went ahead and used a Dollar Tree wallpaper. It is basically a big sticker. I traced out the mason jar and then peeled off the back, placed the mason jar on there, pushed it down so there was no bubbles, and then I just trimmed around the edges and sanded in a few places to get that as close as I could. And now the back is covered. You could use felt or craft paper or fabric or something else as well, but this is what I had on hand, so that's what I used. And then I grabbed one of these stakes from Home Depot and I measured out where I want the hat to be. This is going to be a snowman. And then I painted with black chalk paint the little stake. I was able to cut that with my miter snips very easily, and then I painted the top of the hat. And then I moved my painter's tape, and I was going to use paint, but then I saw this beautiful paper. It's like sort of silver and shimmery, and it looks like faux wood. Well, it looks like wood. And then I placed some, it's a scrapbook paper, so I placed some Mod Podge down. And then I took a squeegee and I used the hard end, and I made sure there was no bubbles. And then I took an X-Acto knife and I did go around and make sure that was as close as it could be as well with that and the sandpaper. And then I went around because the sticker on the back was started to come up. So I did use some hot glue and just go around the edges of that. And then I used hot glue and just used a putty knife to kind of clean up the edges to get the brim of the hat on. And then I took a shim and I cut it out in the shape of a nose. And then I used an orange paint. I like the darker orange, but you could use bright if you wanted. And I gave that a coat and I went ahead and dried it. And then I had a couple different ideas for the eyes and the mouth, so I grabbed out some half beads, or these are actually called button plugs, so they're going to stand off of the mason jar a bit, and I went ahead and gave those a coat of black paint. And then I gave those a dry. I figured out where I wanted my nose. I figured out where the center was and glued that down, and then just spaced out my mouth as much as I could, leaving some space there at the bottom for a scarf. And then I got my eyes and my mouth on there. Then I took a palette knife and some white paint and just went over the hat, the brim and the other part, top of the mason jar, to give it like a faux snow look. I think this is really pretty. I did something similar to this on a paddle board last year for a snowman on his hat, and I thought it was super cute. And then we gave the eyes a little bit of shine. We put some faux snow on the nose. The shim is very rough, so just wherever it picked up. And then on the top of those button plugs, I went ahead and placed some faux snow as well. It's actually white paint. And then I used the side of the palette knife to put his eyebrows on. And then I got out my mini Bodabra and some fabric and this like sheer table runner, I think it was, from Hobby Lobby that I got for 90% off. And I just cut some strips and started making a little bow. And I'll trim it in a second, so it's going to look wild at first. And then I pulled that up, tied it in the back a couple times, and placed it on his little hat. And I have this greenery that I love. I got this at Joann's, or Joann Fabrics, I think it's called. And I placed a few of those little frosted greenery picks in there. And then for the center of the bow, I just did a silver bell. I put a hanger in using some of the fabric that I used in the bow. And then it was time to place his scarf on. So I ended up doubling up the fabric because what I first got wasn't really covering enough. Didn't look the way I wanted it to look. So I glued a strip of fabric all the way around. And then I did it again. And then I stapled that in the back and glued it in the front. And I just tied a little knot and put it on there, you guys. Glued that on there separately. So how stinking cute is this? I love him. I hope y'all make something like this. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching, and I hope y'all have a great day.